Hello and welcome to a brand new season of Gio's View. I'm Gio Battaglia.
And I'm Madison Scott.
I'm Antonina Tortorello. The Drug Abuse Resistance Education Program is calling out the HBO original Euphoria, saying they recklessly glorify drug use and sex. Do you think DARE's claims are accurate? Do you think Euphoria glorifies the use of drugs and substance abuse on an impressionable audience? Gio, let's start with you.
So I just recently started Euphoria. Everyone was telling me to watch it. I know that we're on season 2, but I just started yesterday, and I was actually kind of I really respected Euphoria for the way that they show drug use, and I don't think it's in a way that promoted it at all. When I was watching it, I didn't think about starting drug use at all. I was actually pretty, like I said, I respect Euphoria for the way that they portray drugs in the show. It's not in a way that's glorifying. I think it's very educational.
Yeah, I could see why people say that Euphoria is glorifying drugs and stuff like that, but at the same time, they're also showing the real effects of drugs and addiction and what it does to families, what it does to relationships. It kind of covers the whole picture. So yeah, there is the pretty makeup, the pretty colors, the music, everything that kind of makes you feel like you could be on drugs too, but at the same time, they also show the ugly parts of it and the real parts of addiction. So I feel like that balance kind of gives the most accurate reality to it.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you both said. Euphoria, it's a fun show to watch. It's fun when it's fun, but when it's not fun, it shows you how much drugs and alcohol and everything can really affect someone's life and the toll it can take on them.
And the things that I've taken away after an episode, when I've been oh, that episode was so good, I don't think has ever been drug related. Yeah. It's always been relationship. I know they said sex, but relationship oriented or anything like that. Yeah,
they show a lot of things with drugs that when it goes wrong, they show all the problems with drug dealers. They show Rue overdosing. They show what that does to her little sister and her family and all of that stuff. So I think there's a good balance between that.
They're definitely very graphic scenes that are not suitable for all audiences. But when I've watched those scenes, and it's definitely taken an emotional toll. It makes me very emotional, but it's never been this is a path that I want to follow for any of the characters.
Yeah. Jamie Lynn Spears has been on the road promoting her new book and discussing her relationship with her sister, Britney Spears. Britney responded to these interviews with a series of tweets, including one where she called out Jamie for disrespecting their mother. She wrote, "Poor mama took it too, just like I did in the end. If you came out of my stomach, I would have popped the blank out of your blank." How do you feel about Jamie getting all of these opportunities to share her side of the story? Do you think Britney has a right to be angry? Gio, let's start with you.
I think I'm just shocked at all the platforms that are giving her a voice. I mean, Britney Spears' family has been attacked in the media with the conservatorship and everything kind of coming to an end. So I'm very shocked, especially with Call Her Daddy, the podcast. I'm very shocked that they let Jamie come on. I didn't watch it just because I didn't want to listen to Jamie Spears talk. Did you guys watch it at all?
I listened to most of it. I couldn't finish it. I just felt like it didn't even make sense, and it was just kind of a lot of more Jamie just talking about how she was brought up, and it was a part 1, so they didn't get into the conservatorship a lot. It was mostly just about her childhood and stuff. So I don't know. I couldn't get through it. I didn't really enjoy it. I feel personally, I don't think she should be given these platforms. I feel if anything, if she wants to share her side of the story, that's fine, but maybe give it a little time. Maybe let Britney have these opportunities to go on different shows and tell her side of the story first before, Jamie just instantly comes in to defend herself.
I think that's the thing. Everyone's waiting to hear from Britney. Everyone wants Britney to do the tell-all interview talking about her family. So for Jamie Lynn to go on it so quickly, I agree. It's definitely kind of jarring.
Yeah, when I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw that Call Her Daddy posted that, I was like, what? I feel like it's just a very random place for Jamie to be coming out with all of this, especially Call Her Daddy. I don't feel yes, they talk about a lot of things and a lot of topics that may be controversial, but this isn't really controversial. Britney didn't really get a platform to talk for so many years or express anything, and now we're just going to dismiss it and try to hear all sides.
Yeah,
I don't know.
let her talk. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I just feel I understand there were a lot of people in the comments who are saying, well, it's journalism. You have to show all sides and be unbiased and stuff, and I understand that, but also to a point, Britney went through a lot of trauma for most of her life. She was literally held captive basically by her family. So I think that giving Jamie a platform to speak like that is just like, I don't know, very tone deaf. I just think, if anything, if you really want to do that, if you really want to show all sides, like we said, wait a little bit and wait a year. Let Britney go out. Let her tell her side of the story when she's ready. Don't come in to instantly defend yourself.
I find it very interesting that you say that they talked about her childhood in the first part, because I know the shows like that like to tease and, listen for part 2 if you want to hear about Britney. But I feel like when you're having a guest that has that much baggage coming on the show, for lack of a better word, you would want to start with that. So I find that just very interesting.
Yeah, they were basically, from what I remember, she was mostly talking about how when she was younger and Britney first started to get famous, and when Britney first started going through her, was having her mental health issues and stuff, and what that was like for Jamie, because Jamie was really young and stuff. And so I think she was just trying to preface that she wasn't as aware of what was going on as the media is painting her out to be, because she was so young. So I feel like that's probably why, because it was more of an introduction to the whole story.
I love Britney's responses to everything. I think that she is handling this exactly as she should.
Yeah.
Have you been reading them, Antonina?
I have. I haven't been completely invested in it, but I'll see it on a Twitter feed or a TikTok feed. I'll be like, okay, Britney purr.
Yeah, I feel like she has every right to be mad.
Exactly.
I would be so mad. That's your sister.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
For our next topic, Kat will be joining us, of course. Welcome back, Kat.
Hi.
Taylor Swift reacted to a Los Angeles Times interview where musician Damon Albarn made claims that she did not write her own music. Swift said, "Your hot take is completely false and so damaging." Albarn replied, saying his response to the interview question was taken out of context and used as clickbait. Do you believe Taylor, and why do you think she's being questioned for her songwriting abilities? Kat, we'll start with you.
I 100% believe in Taylor. So basically, when I do listen to her music, I feel like she writes it very personal. Every breakup she goes through, I feel like it's about that breakup and about that person. It's all personal. It doesn't seem like it's someone else's story.
Mm-hmm. Antonina, what do you think?
Exactly. I feel like Taylor has built her career since she was so young on writing her own music and doing whatever she wants, really. I think to take that away from her would be damaging. So I understand, obviously you have a whole team of people who help you make your music, but when the words are coming from her mouth, I would be upset too if someone was saying that wasn't my own work.
Absolutely. I do agree that she's built her career on the foundation of that she writes her own songs. I mean, Speak Now is 12 years old now, and that album is completely solely written. And I saw someone on Twitter talk about, one person says Taylor Swift only writes songs about her breakups. Taylor Swift doesn't write her own songs, on the other hand. So, which one kind of is it?
You're not going to please anyone. Everyone's going to have their own opinions, but obviously the truth is the truth. And we may never sit there and watch Taylor write her own music, but it's kind of obvious that she does.
She's written over 50 songs solely by herself, which is just incredible. And they're, like Kat said, they're very storytelling songs. They're great. And yeah, you're right. To question that is just...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And to have someone, say, it's like creating your own child and, someone just, being like, oh, that's not yours. That would kind of hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So I completely understand why she would get upset about someone saying that about her own music.
So also in the interview, Albarn said that Billie Eilish and Finneas collaborating wasn't a problem. Do you think they're a brother-sister duo and Taylor solely writes on her own? Do you think that Billie and Finneas get a pass in this in any sense, or?
I don't think music has to be written by one person, especially Billie and Finneas. I absolutely love them both, and their music is so good. And putting two brains together that know each other so well, they're best friends, they're brother and sister. That's gonna make the best music. So why just have one person write it if they can both collaborate and make amazing music?
I agree. I mean, the general audience, when they hear a good song, they're not going to do a deep dive into, did one person write this? Did 500 people write this? So I agree. Kat, any thoughts on this?
I honestly, nowadays, people are just getting so deep into it. Just let the people produce what they want. If it brings them joy, brings other people joy, what's the damage?
I think that's a perfect way to leave off.
Spotify is removing all of musician Neil Young's music. This follows a now-deleted post Young made on his official website addressing Spotify and the company's relationship with podcaster Joe Rogan. It was reported that Rogan made multiple false claims about the COVID-19 vaccine on his podcast. Young and many others were said to be criticizing Spotify and continuing to stream Rogan's podcast. According to the Rolling Stones, Young wrote, They can have Rogan or Young, not both. Do you guys think Spotify did the right thing removing this music? Do you think Spotify has the right to filter what content is produced when it comes to the spread of misinformation? Maddie, what do you think?
Okay, so when it comes to if I think Spotify did the right thing or not, I mean, he asked for the music to be removed. So, and he made it very obvious, like either Rogan or him. And so I think Spotify did the right thing for granting his wishes and removing his music. I saw in their response, they said something about how they want to do everything they can to keep like their subscribers and the people producing content happy, but they can't like limit freedom of speech. Basically, they can't limit what people are saying, but they also did say that they have removed a bunch of podcasts, including misinformation about the COVID-19 vaccine. I don't know. So like, I feel like I don't really listen to Joe Rogan's podcast. I've only listened to a couple. I haven't heard any recently where they would be talking about the COVID-19 vaccine, so I can't speak on whether those are still up or not. But I feel like when it comes to this type of stuff and when it comes to people like Joe Rogan with such a big platform like that, I feel like Spotify should have a right to censor that. And because misinformation coming from Joe Rogan, people are going to believe that. It's this guy with a huge platform, huge following. People are going to believe that. So I hope Spotify is actually removing these podcasts with the misinformation, but I don't know, at the same time, I wouldn't put it past the company to not be doing that because Joe Rogan makes so much money. He's probably bringing the company a lot of money because it's a huge podcast. But a lot of doctors and people have like written a letter to Spotify, like claiming, like describing their concerns and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use Spotify?
Kind of. I use both.
Do you use Spotify?
Yes.
Does this news make you want to cancel your subscription to Spotify?
No, I feel like Joe Rogan is one of the biggest Spotify like podcasts that we have. However, that's not the only thing Spotify is used for. I'm not going to stop listening to Spotify because all my favorite artists are on there. I just don't personally listen to Joe Rogan. Mm-hmm. And if he's giving out false information, I'm just not going to go there and listen to his stuff.
I think that's all it is, and bear with me with this because I didn't know what I was going to say, but I think I figured it out. And I think it is all about platform and your own stance on things. And while I do think it is not the best to be giving misinformation about the COVID-19 vaccine, I do think that Neil Young had a choice to either ignore what Joe Rogan was doing, because is Joe Rogan's podcast Spotify exclusive, or can you
I think it might be. Actually, I'm not sure because I feel like I've also listened to his podcast on Apple Music, so I'm not 100% sure about
Plus,
that.
I believe you can probably find them on YouTube too.
Yeah, they are on YouTube.
Some other sources.
Yeah, that's true. It's not Spotify exclusive, whereas like Call Her Daddy is. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, I don't know, I understand why Neil Young would want his music off of there, but at the same time, asking a company to take off their number one podcaster, like that's a lot to do, because if they did that, then also at the same time it kind of looks like Spotify is trying to push, an agenda and trying to pick sides and stuff. And so I feel like honestly the best thing in this situation is what they did, like hope that they actually are taking these podcasts down and removing Neil's music because that's what he wanted. And they did say, like, we hope that Neil wants to come back, and if he does, we would love to have his music back. So, I don't know. It's just a lot to ask, like, a company to take down a whole show because of that. I understand why it's so important, and, I personally think his show should be gone because of that, because of how big his platform is, and because, I don't know, information about COVID right now is so crucial, and there's so much false information going around that is really damaging. And so I think that, like, in my personal opinion, I think it should be taken off because of that. But at the same time, like, Spotify's a whole company. Like, they don't really have that.
I think it's a personal
Option.
thing between Spotify and Joe Rogan. I don't think Neil Young should have put in a word at all. I know that's kind of like that heroic, like taking a stand, but I think it's going to be one that is going to hurt just Neil Young in the long run.
Yeah, I think the reason he did that and was going so, like, public with it is because, you know, like I said earlier, a bunch of doctors and nurses and people in the healthcare field did write to Spotify about this. And so I think Neil Young doing this was to bring attention to it and to hold Spotify accountable, to bring it into the media, because I don't think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't hear anything about this before Neil Young did that. So I
True,
think
I agree.
that it wasn't like him trying to be petty. I think it was more of him trying to bring, like, awareness and use his platform to bring awareness and hold Spotify accountable.
And we do need people like that in this world, honestly. More people like to step up. Another thing, I was thinking, not only just get rid of, since he is such a big podcast, not only just getting rid of the whole thing, what about just those episodes that have that misinformation, or docking pay from those episodes with the misinformation? Like, you don't get paid if you do spread that.
So Spotify did say that they were taking down all of the podcasts with misinformation, but I think Neil Young's point more was that he was more upset that Spotify is still continuing to have a relationship with Joe Rogan and continuing to give a platform to someone who has over and over again reportedly given these false accusations. So I think that's what it is that, like, he's just like, how are you as a company still allowing this person to do this over and over and over again?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Well, I definitely agree with you, Maddie, and we definitely want to know your thoughts about this, so leave them in the comments. What do you think about Spotify and Neil Young controversy? We thank you for watching this episode of Gio's View, and we will see you next time.